All right, so the foundation for QuickBooks is that everything in QuickBooks is based upon forms entry. So if you go into any of these areas of QuickBooks, you'll see forms that have been created to just simply enter data into. So if we go into enter a bill, for instance, there's a screen here by which you enter in a vendor's name and an address and the amount that you owe them, and you could save and close this right here. If you want to create a check is nothing more than a form. You would simply enter in the person you're paying and detail about the check and the expense account that it's going to, and you can literally print a check from QuickBooks. If you want to be able to use, if you want to be able to write a customer, send a customer an invoice, you can create an invoice, and you would enter the customer's name and all kinds of detail would pop up. You can tell what you're going to sell to them with prices and everything, and enter in sales tax, and then that data is saved. So everything in QuickBooks at that point is saved in a database to be later retrieved. So if you create invoices, you can later retrieve them and it'll show you the total sales amount. If you create bills, you can create reports from that and then later look at how much is owing and pay a bill with the check. So everything is entered into forms, and then you can go into different forms and do things like pay the bills or receive a payment from a customer, and then all of that data is stored in there so that you can later go and run reports on all that kind of information. The next thing about QuickBooks is everything is made easier in QuickBooks because of lists. So you have a customer list that you can just click on that person's name, and if you click on them, all kinds of data will automatically appear there. And like with invoice, you have, we'll talk about all these things later, but you'll have a class list, and going down you'll have a terms list, like when do they need to pay you, and you'll have items, what are all the things that you might sell to them, whether it's a service or product or inventory or whatever it might be. And as you go down all of these different forms, the lists make it easier to create all of the forms that you want to do. So you've got a vendor list different from a customer list, and there's an employee list if you're doing payroll. And as you got terms that are for accounts payable as opposed to terms that are for accounts receivables. So everything in QuickBooks is based upon a list. Now the next part about QuickBooks is how do you get around in it? And there's the shortcuts menu. The shortcuts, if you click on any one of these shortcuts, it will show you all kinds of details about that particular thing. And then in QuickBooks you have all of the menu bars up here. So you can access every single thing from QuickBooks from one of these menus across the top, the drop-down menus. And then you have the abilities to look at icons on the top. And we're going to go through this about how you can modify and change these icons. But you can create icons. So if you want to see customers, there's your entire customer list, all of the different customers that you have in your business with a little bit of detail about each one of them, and then all the invoices that you've given, that you've billed them. So everything in QuickBooks is easily navigatable from those primary areas. You also have the ability to see things differently in QuickBooks, and this is your view window. So if you wanted to not see this icon, you could take it off. If you wanted to not see the search bar, you can remove it or put it back on. Whatever suits you, simplifying the favorites menu to just the essentials. One window versus multi-window. You can set it up so that you only see one window at a time. So let's say we've got multiple windows open and we instead just want to see one window at a time. When you go to single window, it pops it up, and the only way to see the other windows is to shrink it or to change the setting to see multiple windows at one time in QuickBooks. So finally, when we're looking at QuickBooks, you have the ability to modify this right here. So there's a lot of things that can appear here by default, and you can go and customize that view in the Customize Icon bar. So as you can see here, there's all of these things that exist on here right now. And if we like start at the top, up here we see Home. Home is right there, and My Company is right there, right? Going all the way across the bar. You can go onto here and you can click on this and you can like delete the time tracker because you don't use this. But then you can add anything else that you want that's available as an icon. You can put it into this, and there's lots and lots and lots and lots of things, and you can pick what the icon looks like, and then it will appear for you. So these are all options to change how this looks up here. And I want to tell you about one more thing, and that is there's a home view, and the home view shows you basically all of the processes in QuickBooks. So you would purchase things and then receive inventory and then enter a bill and then you would pay a bill, or you might only simply enter a bill and pay a bill. And you would have sales orders potentially before they would turn into invoices, or estimates that would potentially turn into invoices. Irregardless, you can just simply create invoices and then later receive payments from them. And in the meantime, you may send statements to your customers until you eventually get paid, or you can bypass that whole process. If you are paid at the time of getting the, if you're paid at the time that you invoice them, instead create a sales receipt and immediately receive payment in full at that time. Either way, it goes in and it records a deposit, which we're going to go through all that in a later time. The payroll process we cover in another QuickBooks training seminar. So that's all just tools and resources to help you get around in QuickBooks. The company overview will give you all of the basic information about your company and kind of where you stand, what you've ordered, what you've got in process, apps and tools and things that you're using, and it gives you just all kinds of good details. I actually never used it, but it is there for you. So that is an overview for you of getting around in QuickBooks.